a crowded city, once bustling with life, now a ghost town. The streets are silent except for the sound of marching feet. Families are torn apart, men, women, and children separated and sent to different labor camps. In these camps, the prisoners are subjected to endless days of backbreaking work, starvation, and abuse. This was the reality for countless innocent people under Pol Pot's rule. The Khmer Rouge regime was responsible for the deaths of an estimated 2 million Cambodians. From forced labor camps to mass executions, Pol Pot's regime left a legacy of horrors that still haunts the country today. As we uncover the atrocities committed by this cruel dictator, be prepared to be shocked and appalled. Welcome to History on Fleek. Today we examine Pol Pot and the diabolical things that he did during his reign as the leader of the Khmer Rouge in Cambodia. Pol Pot, whose real name was Saloth Sar, was born in 1925 into a relatively wealthy family in Cambodia. As a child, he was studious and dedicated to his education. He attended a Catholic school and later a Buddhist temple, where he honed his linguistic skills and became fluent in French, Cambodian, and several dialects. A normal kid, right? Wrong. After completing his studies in Cambodia, he was awarded a scholarship to study radio electronics in Paris. It was here where he would first encounter Marxist ideology and become politically active. In Paris, he became involved in leftist circles and was soon introduced to the Communist Party of Cambodia. His transformation journey from a shy student to a radical Marxist revolutionary began shortly after. As Pol Pot became more entrenched in the communist movement, he became more and more dedicated to the idea of revolution. He saw the overthrow of the government and the establishment of a communist state as the only way to bring about real change in Cambodia. Little did he know that his political beliefs would lead him down a path of destruction and terror, forever tarnishing his legacy as one of the most ruthless dictators in modern history. But before he became known as the Monster of Cambodia, Pol Pot was just a young man with a passion for change. How did a privileged upbringing and a political awakening in Paris set the stage for one of the greatest tragedies of the 20th century? The rise of the Khmer Rouge was a tale of cunning, strategy, and ultimately, terror. This once small guerrilla movement would eventually overthrow the government of Cambodia and establish the democratic Cambodia, becoming one of the most infamous regimes in modern history. In the 1960s, Cambodia was in a state of political turmoil, with anti-government protests and uprisings becoming increasingly common. It was in this climate of unrest that Khmer Rouge, a small communist guerrilla movement, began to gain traction. Under the leadership of Pol Pot, the Khmer Rouge slowly but surely built up its military strength and launched a series of successful attacks against government forces. By the mid-1970s, the Khmer Rouge was powerful enough to launch a full-scale attack on the government. In a stunning display of military prowess, they quickly defeated the government forces and established the democratic Cambodia, with Pol Pot as its leader. However, the victory was short-lived. The Khmer Rouge's vile policies, including the forced evacuation of cities, the establishment of forced labor camps, and the widespread use of mass executions, soon earned them a reputation as one of the most ruthless regimes in modern history. From a small, obscure movement, the Khmer Rouge would eventually become a symbol of terror, its name forever associated with the atrocities it committed during its reign. The policies of the Khmer Rouge were a disastrous experiment in radical communism that resulted in one of the worst mass killings of the 20th century. From the implementation of agrarian communism to the establishment of the killing fields, the Khmer Rouge's reign was characterized by terror, oppression, and mass murder. The Khmer Rouge's central policy was the implementation of agrarian communism, a radical form of communism that aimed to collectivize agriculture and abolish private property. To achieve this goal, the Khmer Rouge ordered the evacuation of cities and the establishment of forced labor camps. Millions of Cambodians were forced to leave their homes and work in the fields, often under sadistic conditions. The evacuation of the cities was a catastrophic event that would have lasting consequences for Cambodia. With the cities emptied of their inhabitants, the Khmer Rouge turned to the forced labor camps to achieve their goal of collectivizing agriculture. The conditions in the camps were horrific. The prisoners subjected to long hours of hard labor, meager rations, and constant abuse. Many prisoners died from exhaustion, disease, and outright starvation. The Khmer Rouge's reign of terror reached its climax with the establishment of the killing fields, a series of mass execution sites where prisoners were taken to be killed. The killings were often carried out with cold-blooded efficiency, with prisoners being bludgeoned to death with crude agricultural tools. The scale of the killings was staggering, with estimates suggesting that as many as 2 million Cambodians were killed during the Khmer Rouge's reign. These policies left a lasting legacy of pain and suffering in Cambodia. The people of Cambodia would have never imagined something like this, let alone face it. The atrocities committed by Pol Pot and the Khmer Rouge were among the worst in modern history, from the extermination of ethnic and religious minorities to the widespread use of torture and execution. The Khmer Rouge's reign was characterized by unspeakable ferocity and violence. One of the most horrific aspects of Pol Pot's rule was the extermination of ethnic and religious minorities. The Khmer Rouge targeted Vietnamese, Chinese, and other ethnic minority communities, as well as Buddhist monks, Chams, and other religious groups. Thousands were murdered, often in barbaric and senseless ways, as part of the Khmer Rouge's effort to create a pure, homogeneous Cambodian society. The Khmer Rouge was relentless in its pursuit of perceived enemies of the state. Suspected traitors, intellectuals, and other enemies of the revolution were arrested, tortured, and executed in harsh fashion. The regime's use of torture was notorious, with prisoners subjected to vicious methods such as electric shocks, suffocation, and mutilation. The killing fields was also used as a way to mercilessly take out workers who were deemed too weak or unfit to work. The use of forced labor was part of the Khmer Rouge's efforts to create a society where everyone was equal and everyone contributed to the collective good. Doesn't it sound almost ironic, hearing the words equality, collective good, and savage killings in one sentence? Just does not seem right. The fall of the Khmer Rouge marked the end of one of the darkest periods in Cambodian history. From its rise to power in 1975, it eventually came down crumbling in 1979. This new chapter of the story started with the Vietnamese invasion of Cambodia in late 1978. The Vietnamese military forces swept across the country, quickly defeating the Khmer Rouge and capturing the capital city of Phnom Penh. One of the most significant events in the fall of the Khmer Rouge was the arrest and trial of Pol Pot in 1997. After years on the run, Pol Pot was finally captured and brought to trial for his crimes against the Cambodian people. Despite his advanced age and declining health, Pol Pot was held accountable for his role in the genocide and other crimes committed during the Khmer Rouge's reign. This was definitely not the end of a tragic story for the Cambodians. The aftermath of the Khmer Rouge regime was marked by widespread trauma and suffering. Millions of Cambodians were left to deal with the physical and psychological scars of the regime's wicked policies, as well as the loss of friends, family, and homes. Despite this, the country slowly began to rebuild, with a new generation of Cambodians working to create a more stable and prosperous future. The genocide committed by the regime resulted in the loss of an estimated 1.5 to 2 million lives, leaving a scar on Cambodia's history. While the fall of the Khmer Rouge and the arrest and trial of Pol Pot marked the end of this dark chapter in Cambodia's history, the legacy of violence and suffering continues to haunt the country to this day. From forced labor camps to mass executions, the atrocities committed by Pol Pot and his regime are a stark reminder of the dangers of authoritarianism and the importance of preventing such horrors from happening again. This is History on Fleek, and we'll see you next time.